That's the thrill behind the 1982 copper Lincoln penny, one of the most famous and rare U.S. coins ever struck by mistake. Some collectors even believe it could reach $1 million at auction if the right coin appeared in pristine condition. To understand the rarity of the 1982 copper penny, we need to go back to 1982, a year of huge change for U.S. coinage. Since 1909, Lincoln pennies had been made mostly of 95% copper, with a little zinc and tin. But by the early 1980s, copper prices were skyrocketing. In fact, by 1982, the metal inside a penny was worth more than 1 cent, meaning the U.S. Mint was literally losing money every time it struck a coin. The solution: change the metal. In mid-1982, the U.S. Mint switched from copper pennies, 95% copper, 5% zinc, to copper-plated zinc pennies, 97.5% zinc, to 0.5% copper coating. This change happened during the year, meaning 1982 is a split year with two different compositions. Not only that, but 1982 also has the error why the 1982 copper penny exists. The Denver Mint struck billions of zinc pennies in 1982. By mid-year, copper plankets, the metal discs used for coins, were supposed to be completely phased out. Somehow, a few leftover copper plankets remained in the minting machinery at Denver. These plankets were accidentally struck with 198D dies, creating the 1982 copper penny. This makes it one of the most famous wrong planchet errors in U.S. history. Value of the 1982 copper penny. The value of this coin is staggering because of its rarity. As of today, only a very small number of authentic examples have been confirmed. Let's break it down. Circulated examples, if verified, can sell for $10,000 to $30,000 plus. High-grade examples, O2MS, can reach $50,000 to $100,000. The finest known specimens, especially those graded by PCGS or NGC, have crossed the $200,000 plus mark in private sales. Some experts believe that if a perfect mint-state red gem was ever discovered, it could easily bring $500,000 or even $1 million at auction. Think about it, a 1-cent coin that could buy you a house, a car, or even fund your retirement. Auction records. Let's look at some of the real-world sales and auction history. A confirmed 1982 copper penny sold for over $18,800 at a heritage auction sale. Another high-grade example went for nearly $30,000. Private collectors have reportedly paid $50,000 to $100,000, depending on the condition. This shows just how much collectors are willing to pay and how the value has grown over the years. Each time one comes to market, the buzz in the coin community skyrockets, pushing the price even higher. How to identify a 1982 copper penny? Now, this is where collectors get really excited because it's possible you might already have one without realizing it. Here's how to check. Look at the date and mint mark. It must say 1982 with a D Denver mint mark. Test the weight. Copper pennies weigh 3.11 grams. Zinc pennies weigh only 2.5 grams. You'll need a digital scale to check. Examine the size of the date. It should be a large date variety. If you find a 1982 large date penny that weighs 3.11 grams, you may have struck gold, or rather, copper. Warning: there are counterfeits out there. Always get your coin authenticated by PCGS or NGC before trying to sell. Why collectors love this coin? The 1982 copper penny is a dream find for coin collectors because it represents a historic transition year in U.S. coinage. It's a genuine mint heir with only a handful known. Its value continues to rise, making it both exciting and a good investment. It combines the thrill of hunting with the possibility of a life-changing discovery. In other words, it's the kind of coin that keeps collectors checking their pocket change. What if I told you that a simple penny from 1983 could change your life forever? We are talking about the 1983 copper Lincoln penny, one of the most legendary and valuable error coins in U.S. history. While billions of ordinary 1983 pennies exist, a handful were struck on the wrong metal planchet, turning them into one of the most sought-after modern rarities ever. To understand the rarity of this coin, let's go back to 1982, when the U.S. Mint changed the composition of the Lincoln cent. Up until 1982, pennies were made from 95% copper. Rising copper prices forced the mint to switch to a cheaper alloy. Starting in mid-1982, pennies were struck on 97.5% zinc blankets, coated with copper plating. This transition wasn't smooth. The mint had leftover copper blankets and machinery in use during the switch, which gave us the famous 1980 to copper versus zinc varieties. By 1983, the mint intended to strike only copper-plated zinc pennies. No copper cents were supposed to be produced, but somehow, at the Denver Mint, a few leftover copper blankets slipped into production. These rare mistakes created the 1983D copper Lincoln penny, a coin that technically should not exist. How to identify a 1983D copper penny? If you think you might have one, here's the test. Check the date and mint mark. It must read 1983 with a D mint mark. Weigh the coin, zinc pennies, 2.5 grams. Copper pennies, 3.11 grams. A digital scale is essential. This is the number one way to confirm. Have it authenticated. Because counterfeits exist, you'll need certification from PCGS or NGC. Important, a regular 1983D penny is worth only face value. It's the weight that makes the difference between 1 cent and $100,000. Value of the 1983D copper penny. The values are jaw-dropping. Depending on condition, certified 1983D copper pennies can be worth. Circulated examples, $10,000, $25,000. Mint state uncirculated examples, $40,000, $100,000 plus. Top graded examples, MS65 red or better, $200,000, $500,000 plus. Experts believe that if a flawless gem red version ever came to market, it could break the $1 million mark, making it one of the most valuable Lincoln cents in history. Auction records, the 1983D copper penny has stunned collectors every time it appears. In 2013, a certified 1983D copper penny sold at heritage auctions for over $18,000. In recent private sales, high-grade examples have been reported in the $50,000, $100,000 range. Experts predict that a fresh discovery of a near-perfect red specimen could set records at $250,000, $500,000, or even higher if collector hype drives bidding wars. Remember, this coin is so rare that many collectors have never even seen one in person. That's how legendary it is. Why collectors love this coin? Why is the 1983D copper penny such a collector favorite? Error rarity. It wasn't supposed to exist. Every example is an accident of history. Historic timing. It marks the end of the copper penny era. Investment potential. Prices keep climbing. Treasure hunt excitement. Anyone could, in theory, still find one in circulation or in an old collection. This combination makes it one of the most exciting modern rarities in U.S. coinage. Conclusion. The 1983D copper Lincoln penny is more than just a small coin. It's a symbol of how a tiny minting mistake can create one of the most valuable treasures in U.S. numismatics. From a coin worth 1 cent to one worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, its story is the stuff of legends. Every collector dreams of finding one. Every auction stirs excitement. And the possibility that more might still be out there keeps treasure hunters searching through penny rolls to this day.